And that was the...
this is a great idea.
Yeah, that was a theme tune to The Young Doctors, which ran from the 1970s to the early 1980s for 6.5 years, actually. And we are privileged to have one of the stars who was on the show for a while. This is Louise Howitt. Good morning, Louise. How are you?
Good, Mike. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. Are you managing to stay safe across there on the East Coast?
Oh, we're remaining, and we're doing exactly what we should.
Exactly.
Wearing masks when out, doing the shopping, and staying at home.
Yeah, that's it. It's been a difficult time for us all, I think, but just something that has to be done, right?
Very much, but we've been very lucky here, as you have there.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the first time that we've been locked down for quite some time since last year. And, you know, it's 2 weeks where you can do other things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, make the most of it.
And that's right. I mean, I've managed to resurrect a couple of projects which I had on hold, and I think it's a perfect time to do all that.
Oh, absolutely. Even clean the house.
Yeah.
You know, winter is not a time for cleaning.
That's correct, exactly. Well,
now I know what spring cleaning's all about.
Yeah, no, I think we took it for granted. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, obviously the reason that we've got you on the show now is to talk about the time that you had with the Young Doctors, and obviously we'd like to find out what you've been doing since then as well. And I know that you played Nurse Deborah Kendall, and it says here that she was a spoiled little rich girl. What did you think when you were told that was going to be your character when you were given the part?
Oh, I had no idea what a wonderful gift it would be.
Yeah.
It was just such a strong role, and really avant-garde, because she was amongst being, you know, just a rich little spoiled girl.
Yeah.
She was a man-eater. I mean, every day I'd go to work, and there'd be a different doctor that I was pashing off.
Yeah.
You know, it was wonderful. It was so much fun.
It's funny because when you get that kind of role, right? I mean, it's the role that everybody would want, isn't it? Because it takes you out of your comfort zone. It's all about the relationships and stuff. But so when you were in that role, what was it like working with the rest of the cast?
Oh, look, you know, everyone has said that. I've heard the interviews. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
And we did. It was hard work.
Yeah, of course.
You know, there were lines to be learned every night and all that sort of thing. Yeah. But you know, we'd get there and we'd relish it, and we'd just have the best time, because in those days too, Mike, there weren't a lot of you know, there wasn't a lot of money being spent on sets or clothes or things like that. Yeah. So you'd be taking your own clothes and be very, very aware that, you know, you had to have this for continuity. And, you know, it was terrific. And, you know, that imagination got going too.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
For your character.
And it's funny because, I mean, what we're promoting here is the DVD set of the first 250 episodes. And when I initially read that, I just thought, wow, it's a lot of episodes. But there was over 1,400 episodes in total. So, I mean, it just goes to show, you know, the work that you guys must have had to do to get all of that kind of continuity, as you said. But the storylines and everything must have been incredible.
Oh, look, I think the storyline people must, you know, the writers must have had such a field day with each and every one of us. And if someone was leaving the show to go to another show, well, then they'd have to, you know, sort of write around it.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
And, you know, I had some terrific storylines when I was leaving to go to the ABC, because I wasn't on contract at Young Doctors, sadly.
All right, okay.
And I needed to leave, so they weren't very happy with me. So apparently they had about 1.5 years storylines for me, and you know,
that would have been interesting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially with the character that you were playing as well, because she was a firebrand, as we know.
Oh yes, an absolute. Oh, she was a firecracker.
Yeah.
You know?
Now here's the question for you, though, Louise. Does that mirror your real life?
Well, according to my partner, he's seen a couple of scenes, and he said, Definitely, definitely.
And you went to the ABC after that, but was that to do the Kirby's Company, or was that for another show?
Well, firstly, it was for a four-part series
Yeah.
called Loss of Innocence,
Oh, right.
which was
Okay.
really fantastic.
Yeah.
And they must have liked me, so they booked me for Kirby's Company.
Yeah.
And that ran for about another 6 months. Unfortunately, it wasn't picked up again.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but from there, I went to Melbourne to Crawford's,
Hmm.
and I did a wonderful, wonderful series with John Hargraves and Serge Lazarus and some wonderful
Yeah.
um, special stars.
Yeah. Of course.
That all the cream of acting
Mhm.
society.
But and it's interesting what you're saying, because the thing that we found out doing the interviews is that a lot of the other series that were on the TV, I mean, especially looks like the Homicide Squad, and you look at the Water Rats, I think it was. A lot of the stars, as you mentioned, were in and around those series as well.
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
seems to be
Oh, look.
very, you know, everybody seemed to look after each other when it came to parts that were required for those shows.
Yes, I mean, we would be able to suggest people.
Yeah, yeah.
I suggested Corny at one stage because she was down there with me in Melbourne,
Hmm.
and and we got to know each other very quite well.
Yeah,
She'd have me over for dinner. She was a wonderful, wonderful cook,
yeah, very
and
good.
yeah, so it was a lot of fun catching up. And I'm still friends with Tim Page and
Hmm.
Diana McLean,
Oh, that's good.
and see them quite often.
Yeah,
So that's a lovely thing.
yeah, and the thing is as well. I mean, when you look at the Young Doctor shows specifically, I mean, because obviously that's what we're promoting here, but. You look at the amount of characters that there were as well over those 6.5 years, because I've looked at the character list and there was a lot of people. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting when we speak to the likes of yourself, who's had quite a good run in these shows, because obviously when you were talking before about the lines that you have to remember, and it's not just the lines which are normal lines, you've got to remember the technical jargon as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. But it was a wonderful learning curve for so many of
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
And because, a lot of us have only done stage
Hmm.
and I just basically on film done commercials
Yeah, right.
and a week in number 96.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I was kind of green when I arrived. But by the time I finished, I think I knew quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It'd be interesting as well as if you'd be walking down the streets and somebody has a fall, and then you're almost thinking, well, could I actually deal with this?
Well, do you mean being
Yeah,
recognised?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, look, I had a wonderful story. One day I lived in Kirribilli, not far from the studio,
Hmm.
and I was coming out of the supermarket one day, and these lovely little girls from St. Bridgetines or one of the local schools started cornering me
Yeah.
and saying, "We don't like you.
Oh
We
my
don't.
goodness.
What are you doing to Dr. Craig Rothwell?" And all this sort of. Oh, I was terrified.
Yeah, yeah. I
So I
can
got in my
imagine.
mini moke and off I went, and I just had to laugh. I
Yeah.
thought, well, it must have worked.
Well, that's
It
exactly
must
right.
be working.
You can always tell when your character overtakes your real life, and people realize that they see you as the character rather than as the person playing the character. It must be a quite
Yes.
strange situation for sure. At least you survived it. That's the main thing.
I sure did. I
Yeah.
loved it, every moment of it. I thought
So
it was great.
when I was looking at this bit of expo that I've got here, and it says that Kirby's company was run by the ABC, and
Mm.
they wiped the whole series of that. Did you know that?
Oh, yes, I
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And that and many, many other
yeah,
terrific shows, Certain Women and
yeah,
whatever. There was so many shows that were totally wiped.
yeah.
A
It's such
whole
a shame.
history
Yeah, Is
of,
that,
of, of
that's right.
television.
Because you've got the thing it says here that if any listeners have episodes, if they could let us know. Because I mean, obviously,
Oh, that would be
nostalgia would be fantastic for that, right?
Absolutely. And there were wonderful, wonderful co-stars in it.
Hmm.
Vince Martin, Willie Fennell,
Yeah,
Tom Burlinson,
yeah, right.
and a few of the others. It was a terrific, terrific show.
Hmm.
It's sad that it wasn't picked up again, but
Yeah, yeah,
that's the way the cookie crumbles in television, I
that's right.
suppose.
And when
But
yeah, go on. Sorry.
if anyone out there does have a VHS copy,
Yeah,
we'd love to hear from you.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, we'll make sure that
yeah.
goes out on our website as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike.
You're
That's
quite
very,
welcome.
very kind.
Now,
Yeah.
as you moved on, you did a bit of movie work as well. So, what was the transition like from TV to movies?
Well, because I'd been doing film with young Ramsey,
Yeah,
the transition was very, very easy for me because film is film,
yeah,
and
okay.
it's not a taping often has three cameras, etc.
Hmm.
So it's all done in one take. But with film, of course, it's broken up, and then
Yeah, of
there's
course, that's right.
continuity and etc. And it's very, very technical.
Yeah,
So by the time I'd finished with Young Ramsey, I really knew what I was
yeah,
doing,
of course you would. Yeah,
particularly with
yeah.
yeah.
You get
And
dropped in
and
at the
Josh
deep end, right?
Hargraves and Serge Lazareff were just amazing
Yeah.
teachers.
No, that's good. That's
So
good. And it is. I mean, it's a baptism of fire as well, isn't it? That's the thing. And you got to literally hit the ground swimming. So,
right,
yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
you've got no other chance,
And so I
and
mean, yeah. I mean, sorry, just to cut you off, but when
yeah,
because you went into theatre as well, and now that again, that is a completely different genre because I mean, obviously you get to learn your lines, but there's no second
mm,
take for that, right?
no, no. Theatre, you stand in the wings on opening night
Yeah,
and you think, what in the God's name did I really say yes to this
yeah,
for
yeah,
about
yeah,
2 seconds, and then suddenly you're on and you go into it
yeah.
and you're off,
And what
and
kind
you're
of
having the time of your life
yeah,
again. So
exactly. So what kind of techniques do you actually use to be able to remember all your lines? Because I mean, it must be. Well, it's like trying to remember the cards in a pack of cards. How do you do it?
well, of course, I was a lot younger then,
Uh huh.
so it was much, much easier.
Right.
I haven't worked for the last 15, 20 years,
No. Okay.
so I can barely remember. I mean, you just learnt your lines.
Yeah.
And invariably, Mike, they often fell into place.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And that was the only line that you could have given.
Yeah, because you're
So
bouncing off somebody else as well, aren't you? At times.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
And you're telling a story.
Yeah.
You're there as a storyteller.
Yeah.
So the story just it continues, and it just evolves, and
Yeah.
and at the end of the night, it's so exciting.
Yeah.
It's
It
really
must be.
lovely, and
That's right. Because
yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I mean, there'll be times when, especially with theatre, when you just everything goes right. You hit the mark. You hit the lines. You
yep,
get the reaction that you're
yep.
supposed to get, and that must be such a buzz.
Oh, and particularly, I did a wonderful, wonderful show with John Inman,
Hmm.
Pajama Tops. Barry Creighton was in it.
Yeah.
Johnny Lockwood. It was just a fantastic, fun show.
Yeah. I can
And
imagine.
and John Inman was such a lovely, lovely man. He
Yeah.
was so generous,
Yeah. Oh,
and
very
he used
good.
to take us out for dinner most nights.
Yeah.
For supper.
And
And
where was that?
oh, we toured actually.
All
We
right.
went from Newcastle as an out of town tryout,
Yeah.
which I'm very glad for because a situation comedy, a farce,
Yeah.
was not a genre that I was terribly familiar with,
Right.
and so it was tough going for me at first.
Yeah.
With the timing, with the laughs, the gags, the claps, and all
Yeah.
that sort of thing. But you learn very, as you said, on your feet. You learn very, very quickly. And then we came back to Sydney, and then Melbourne,
Yeah. Okay.
in Her Majesty's, which was probably too big a theatre for,
Right.
for our show, but we survived.
Yeah.
It was
Exactly.
great. fabulous, and then back to Canberra. So
Yeah.
it was a wonderful little that another 6 months of my life doing
Yeah,
that
no, that's
and
it.
spending time with that gorgeous man.
And then what lovely memories as well, right? That's the
Oh,
key to it.
it is, Mike. That's what it is. It's fabulous memories.
And I think,
Fabulous.
as you said, when you retire, whether it's because you've had to or you've been, for whatever reason, those
Yeah.
memories are what keep us going. And I think when you look back at the career that you've had working with the likes of John Inman and everybody else who you mentioned, the
Mm,
Young Doctor stars and the fact that you managed to keep
mm-hmm.
in touch with so many of them is fantastic because, again, you can just regale each other with the stories, and I just think that would be so awesome.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But, we, we don't, until now, we really haven't spoken about the young doctors because
Oh, okay.
Tim Page is still doing a lot of work, up in Gosford
Yeah.
at the Laycock Theatre and other places. And he's now doing a, um, a master's in music.
All right.
And
Okay.
that's
Wow.
taking his time.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Diana has done a lot of stage work
Yeah.
and what have you. So we all go
Yeah.
and
That's
and
it.
we see the plays or follow whatever anyone's doing.
Hmm.
But of course, we lost Judy McBurney,
Yeah.
who is dear Jude. She was very very missed by all of us, and
Yeah. I can
same with
imagine that.
Corny and.
And that's what
Mm,
I was going to ask you there as well, because I mean, we're talking about a show which ran for 6 years between 1976 and 83, and
mm,
obviously, as time goes by, there are going to be, one or two who actually do depart this world, and I mean that's
mm.
difficult for everybody, obviously. But when you've been in such a close knit community as you guys were, it must hit you quite hard as well.
It did, particularly Jude, because we
Yeah,
were so close to
yeah,
her. I hadn't seen Corny for quite a few years,
yeah.
but one person that I missed tremendously, and that's when I saw some of the episodes that I did with him, which was my first love in the show,
Yeah, right.
John Walton,
Yeah,
and he played Craig Rothwell,
yeah,
and the one that I was telling you about with
yeah,
those girls being
yeah.
furious
That's
that
it.
I'd
Yeah, yeah.
treated him so badly. And he was actually my school buddy in primary school and high school, so it
Oh,
was
wow.
absolutely divine working with him.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, at first when I went into Young Doctors, but he sadly passed, about
Yeah,
10, 12 years ago, and very, very missed.
yeah. Of
So he
course.
was
Yeah,
the first of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
for
again,
me.
I mean, the thing with that is that, I mean, all of the memories that you've got, they're in film, they're in print. You can
Yeah,
reminisce whenever you need to, which is great. And I think
yeah.
that's the
Oh,
legacy that
Mike,
these people actually have as well. Huh?
and Mike, it's been absolutely
Yeah, I
fantastic,
can imagine.
and seeing the lovely performances of Joey Samuel
Yeah,
and Lynn James, and oh gosh,
yeah,
what terrific talents they
yeah.
were
Well,
and
and
are.
yes,
With
exactly.
Joey
That's right. That's
still
right.
working. So
And then you look at the young actors and actresses who started through there, because Russell Crowe came through when he first
yes,
started, right? And
yes,
again, I mean, with the shows that you had, they a lot of these, we'll call them superstars. They're like that, but a lot of these people started off in shows like of Young Doctors.
yes. Just seeing what it's like to be on a set,
Yeah,
because I don't think he had a huge part, but it was
hmm,
meaty enough.
yeah, exactly.
And he would have, yes, got a taste for it, because that's what you do.
Yeah,
You get a taste for
yeah,
it,
yeah, of
and
course.
it's like basically playing cowboys and Indians like you did when you were a young kid. It was fun. It was
Yeah, you're
great.
taking me back to my childhood now.
Yes, yes. And you never knew what was going to happen next on one of those
Yeah, no,
shows.
that's
With
exactly
us
it. I think
both.
that's what makes all the difference, because
Yeah.
it's so dynamic. It's just and it all works, and that's why we're still talking about it here, 40 years later. So that's
Yes.
great. Now, I mean, obviously, as you said, you're not working at the moment, but you did some voiceover work for a while. Are you still doing some of that?
Oh,
So,
yes, for many, many, many years. And
yeah,
I've only just retired from that about 4 or 5 years ago,
right.
only because work wasn't coming my way.
Oh, okay.
And there was no point in really flogging a dead horse,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, right.
So, look, I'm very happy to rest on my laurels
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
be called a film and television pioneer by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
AFI actor. You know,
That's right, exactly. And if as far as we're concerned, you'll always be a star. It's as simple as that, Louise.
oh bless you,
That's
Mike.
quite all
Thank
right.
you so
Well,
much.
listen, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm going to wrap it up there now.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
smiling here. I'm hoping you get a chance to see this the video that we've just done for
Yeah.
the interview. But I've been smiling since you first started talking to me. It's been fantastic speaking to you. And
And to you, Mike, too.
thank you. And Tris says hello, and he'll probably speak to you later on anyway. But again, as far as you and your partner and everybody else that you might know are concerned, stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck. Thank you very much again,
And
Louise.
thank you very much for having me, Mike.
Okay, it's been
And you
our
stay
pleasure.
safe and well.
We will do. Thank you very much, Alan. You take care.
Bye. You
Bye.
too. Bye.
So that was Louise Howitt. She was one of the stars on The Young Doctors, and just having a chat with her, and it was fantastic to talk to her. So yeah, I've just got to. I'm feeling a little bit starstruck here at the moment. So we're going to play a bit of music just so I can try and compose myself.